All right, welcome into another edition of That's Deep. I'm Tommy Z, joined as always by Johnny Bravo, breaking down UFC 310. This is our last pay-per-view of the year. We have two cards left. The last UFC card was not a good one for me. I don't think it was a good one for any of us. Johnny, how you feeling? We're getting to the home stretch here. How you feeling?
Oh, feeling good. I mean, we've got a stacked card here. Excited for this one. Just ready to go. Locked in.
All right. This is actually a pretty good card, much better than the UFC, the China card. It was an ugly one. It was a tough one to break down, and this one is much better. I'm looking much more forward to this one. So we'll go ahead and jump right into it. First fight on the card, not a great fight. Now that I said this is a good card, but there's always going to be stinkers. First fight is in the heavyweight division. We've got Kennedy Nzechukwu taking on Lucas Bresky. Nzechukwu just fought about a month ago. Weird fight. Chris Barnett, very undersized opponent, got injured in the fight. But Nzechukwu did his thing, and, he's a big favorite here. Bresky, I mean, what can you say? The guy has not looked great. But you've got a minus 600 in Nzechukwu. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, Nchukwu's second fight up at heavyweight. He just had his other fight against Barnett. I mean, he looked pretty good, but Barnett injured himself in his walkout dance when he jumped up. He pretty much blew out his knee. So, I mean, the performance, I guess, was okay. But yeah, he did what he had to do. But Kennedy's just this flaky guy. You always think he's going to do something, and he just underperforms and doesn't live up to expectations. He's got all the skills. It's just, I mean, that OSP loss is pretty horrendous, if you ask me. But he's going up against a guy in Bresky who just isn't like. I mean, this guy sucks. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, I don't really see him being good anywhere. His chin, I think, is gone. So, I mean, this should be pretty much Kennedy should catch him and put him away. Because I think a couple hard shots and Bresky's pretty much probably going to fold. So, yeah, I mean, Kennedy's minus 625. I mean, probably look at the knockout, maybe knockout 2 or 3. Hope Bresky can survive round 1. Or maybe the knockout. I don't know what the number is, but it's probably going to be juice. Yeah, so I don't know. It's probably Nchukwu by knockout.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. I don't know. I didn't see the price on Inside the Distance or knockout, but I'm sure it's not going to be great. So, this could be just a fade altogether. But yeah, I think if you're betting this fight, you're just looking for the finish props. And I mean, Nchukwu should get the job done. Bresky's just has not looked good. He's been knocked out in 2 of the last 3, and I just don't expect much from him at this point. But we can move on to not much of a better fight, but at least a more interesting fight. We've got Chase Hooper taking on the ageless wonder himself, Clay Guida. Lightweight bout. Chase has looked really good lately. His striking's improved. Guida, he's just going to come forward. He's all action. Generally looks to grapple. Not sure that's going to be the game plan here for him. But, again, Chase Hooper, pretty good size favorite, actually massive favorite. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, Chase Hooper's up to minus 1,300. I mean, Chase Hooper he came into the game young. Came in here young, and, I mean, kind of had some hit or miss performances. Pretty much was known as a grappler, but kind of has made some improvements over his last couple fights. I mean, he went toe-to-toe pretty much with Slava, who's a pretty good striker in his own right. Pretty much beat him up there. I mean, the kid's young. He's making improvements. He looks good. And, you got Clay Guida. I mean, 42 years old, UFC vet, been around a while, just that kind of that grimy junkyard dog that never goes away. Pretty durable, but he can be submitted. So I pretty much see, and these guys fought in a in a grappling match not too long ago, and Hooper subbed him pretty easily.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think this is, if it hits the mat, or maybe Guida throws his neck out there or something, I could see Hooper snatching it up and pretty much subbing him. But yeah, it's Hooper all day. I mean, minus 1,300. So I seen the Hooper sub was minus 105 earlier in the week. I don't know what it is now, but maybe Hooper round 2, round 3 sub. I mean, the over 1.5 is like minus 200, so they expect it to get later into the fight.
Yeah.
So yeah, probably Hooper by sub in 2 or 3. But yeah, minus 1,300, not much you can do.
Yeah, I mean, I like the sub price that, Guida's been subbed in nearly half of his losses. He's lost, I think, 23 times. He's been submitted 11 of those times. We know Hooper's very dangerous, and he's got very good leg locks. That's what he got him with in the grappling match that they had earlier. And Guida gets caught in leg locks quite often. So I think the sub's more than live. I could see the fight going longer, but I do worry a little bit because if Hooper does grab a leg early, it's probably a wrap. So, there's a little bit of risk there. But yeah, I like the sub. I'll probably just bet the sub and maybe take some later round props just to get a good price. But yeah, I think Hooper, this is a pretty one-sided fight, and Hooper gets the job done, most likely by submission. All right, our next fight, we're getting slightly more competitive as we go up the card here. Welterweight bout, we've got Michael Chiesa taking on Max Griffin. To me, I mean, Chiesa, I feel like Chiesa's kind of got one foot out the door, but he is a good grappler, and he can if he can get going with the grappling, have some success in this fight. On the feet, I don't think it's very competitive. I think it's Griffin all day. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, this is kind of a striker. This is actually a striker versus grappler, and Chiesa, I mean, he's doing his desk job. He's got a whole bunch of other things going in. I mean, he looked good in his last fight, but I mean, that's against a corpse of Tony Ferguson, who's just, just totally cooked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how much I can trust, Chiesa here. Max Griffin's takedown defense is pretty good. I mean, he has good striking. He has good pop in his hands. These guys are old too. I think Griffin's like 39 years old. I think he's actually older than Chiesa, which is pretty crazy to think. I would think Chiesa would be almost 40, but I mean, this is kind of a tough one because, I mean, if Chiesa can get his grappling going and kind of lay on top and maybe, make it greasy like that, but if Griffin can stuff the takedowns, he could probably just pieces them up, and he could probably knock him out, I think. So, yeah, it's going to be Griffin for me to pick. I think he's going to be able to stuff the takedowns and kind of sprawl and brawl and piece Chiesa up and maybe potentially knock him out.
Yeah, I agree. I just think overall, he's the guy that really wants to be in there. Chiesa was questioning whether or not he wanted to continue to fight before that Tony Ferguson fight. And then, you get the easy win and you feel good about yourself. But I think when he had those questions, and once you have those questions, it's kind of, you either got to go all in or you're in trouble. And yeah, I don't know. I think Chiesa at this point, I think he's done. And I just think Max Griffin wants it more. It means more to him to win. And yeah, I just think, like you said, sprawl and brawl, and I think he gets the job done. I think he could find a finish for sure, but I could see it going all 3 rounds. I would think Griffin does find a finish, but yeah, I'm thinking I'll probably just be on the money line, maybe in a parlay, but we'll see as we get further along.
Yeah, I think Chiesa is probably on his way out. I mean, if you listen to the Helwani interview, he pretty much said if he went to decision with Tony Ferguson, he was pretty much going to retire. So
right, exactly.
He's got commentary like lined up going to do commentary, probably fill in or whatever for an Apex show or something coming up. So who knows where he's at?
Yeah. It seems like he's at the end of the road for sure.
Yeah.
All right, our next fight is in the flyweight division. We've got Cody Durden taking on Josh Van, two guys that I really like. Durden is all action. The guy's gonna give you everything he's got, and Josh Van, he's a relatively new fighter. He's only been fighting for about 4 years, but he seems to be improving leaps and bounds with every fight. Was worried about him in his last fight. He took that fight on a short turnaround after getting knocked out for the first time, and looked really good there. Held up well, and he did what he does and turned it on in the second and third rounds. Very interesting one here with Durden. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, this fight is a banger. I mean, these guys have been kind of chirping at each other too. They kind of wanted to fight each other. So, I mean, this should be all action. Van, I mean, his boxing is just so crisp. It's really good. He goes to the body, he goes to the head, he mixes it up. I mean, the kid's a tough kid. I mean, and he only gets better as the fight goes on. Like usually he'll drop round 1 and then turn it on in rounds 2 and 3. And, that's kind of what he did in the Charas fight. He was kind of getting beat up, and then he kind of just turned it on, hit him with a big shot, and that kind of switched the whole tide of the fight. And Durden is, I mean, he's kind of hit or miss. I mean, he's going to want to get the grappling going kind of, but he can't stand on the feet. He does have power on the feet. Questionable chin. We have seen him. I mean, Bruno Silva just sent him into like outer space not too long ago, but he did come back against Matt Schnell, tapped him. I mean, but the thing that worries me about Durden is he kind of sometimes he slows down as the fight goes on, and he kind of like the later the fight goes, he leaves himself openings. Leaves himself open. He gets tired. The pace kind of slows. Durden's probably going to come out hot on round 1 and like pretty much. And then maybe Van will probably lose round 1, but I see Van turning it up in his rounds 2 and 3 and being able to piece him up and outstrike him, a more volume, and just put the work in. Yeah, I like Van.
Yeah, we could maybe get a decent price on Van going into the second round too if he loses that first round, which he does tend to do a lot. But yeah, I like Van a lot here. Durden, though he's not getting dropped a lot, he has been getting rocked in most of his fights. He got rocked by Matt Schnell. Like you said, he took a bad beating in that Bruno Silva fight. A fight he was winning. He looked good in that fight.
Yeah.
But once Bruno caught him, I mean, he landed some vicious elbows, put a lot of damage on him. And then, the Matt Schnell fight, Matt Schnell caught him, hurt him, didn't get him out or anything. I mean, he was still able to finish Schnell. But we know Schnell doesn't have much of a chin. He cracked him, hurt him, and submitted him. Josh Van, definitely a much different test here. And, I like Van late, second and third round. I think he pours it on in this fight. I wouldn't be shocked if he got Durden out of there, but I also could see him catching Durden in the first round. Durden's dangerous, definitely has big power. He throws from the hip, and, when he lands, he lands. But, I just think the overall game favors Van in this one, especially as we get to the later rounds.
Yeah.
All right. Next fight is a fight we have broken down already. We were supposed to see this a couple cards ago. Got Chris Weidman taking on Eric Anders. This is now a catchweight bout. These two were scheduled to fight, and they ruined a lot of people's DFS nights when the UFC announced the fight was off after lock. So hopefully we don't have any shenanigans like that this time. I was leaning Weidman the first time just because I feel like both of these guys are pretty cooked, and Anders mostly looks to grapple and win with cage control, and Weidman will always be a better grappler. Anything change for you? I think you were leaning Weidman too at that the last time.
Yeah, I'm gonna flip here. I think the extra 10 pounds is gonna be able to help Anders be able to kind of be bigger in there. He's a big dude, big powerful guy. I think he's gonna be able to push Weidman up against the cage and just fight his fight and make it ugly. But yeah, this is not a fight I'm too excited about. But yeah, I've flipped from Weidman to Anders. So
Yeah, I
yep.
don't mind that. I can see why you would do that. Probably a fight I'm going to fade just because last time I bet I had a half unit on Weidman, but I think I bet him at like plus 130. It's almost he's like plus 105 at this point, so there's not a ton of value. I'm going to roll with Weidman still, just because I think he can still out grapple him. But like you said, the difference in weight might come into play here. But yeah, this one
I'm
might
and I'm
just be a
salty
fade.
too because I played this in DFS, so it's like, man, fuck
Yeah.
this fight.
Yeah,
Cost me money already.
I don't think I'm gonna touch it on DFS because I just don't want anything crazy.
Yeah.
No risk.
Yep.
But all right, so we're on opposite ends there, but I mean for me it's kind of probably gonna be a fade anyway.
Yeah.
All right, our next fight is a very interesting one here. It's in the welterweight division. We've got Randy Brown taking on Brian Battle. Randy Brown has won 7 of his last 8. His one loss coming to Jack Della Maddalena. Brian Battle's been kind of running through some of the lower level guys in the division, but he's made it look very easy. He's obviously made it look like he's levels above those guys. So we kind of find out where he's at. Randy Brown's kind of been around that top 15 type gatekeeper for a while now. Pretty decent matchup here. I think both guys have a path to victory. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, great fight. I'm looking forward to this one. I wasn't really a believer at first of Brian Battle. I wasn't high on him. I was trying to fade him early on in his UFC career. But he's made me a believer, and I think the guy is pretty good. I mean, he's good on the feet. He's got some decent grappling himself, some submissions. The striking is just what's been kind of like blow my mind the last couple of fights. I mean, he's looked really good. Yeah, and Randy Brown is one of these UFC vets who's been around. He's fought pretty much everybody in the division. I mean, he's pretty much he's a vet, and he's well-rounded, good striking, good kickboxer. Yeah, this line is kind of wide to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think Randy Brown should be plus 190. I think it should probably be Battle like maybe minus 160 or something. Battle minus 140. But I don't know. I think Battle probably wins the fight. I'm gonna lean on the Battle side here to get the job done and just be the more active guy, land the bigger shots here. Yeah, just be the more active guy, land the shots, and just be able to probably win a decision. I don't know. But the way he's been going, he's just been running through guys. So if he runs through Randy Brown, I'll be pretty impressed if he runs through Randy Brown. Which I could see him knocking Randy Brown out.
Yeah, for sure. He's got power.
Yeah,
There's no doubt.
Yeah, I like Battle, man, but I'll probably put him in a parlay with something. I think he wins, but if you bet Randy Brown at plus 190, I wouldn't blame you. I mean, because mine's a little wide.
I'm leaning that way right now. The one thing that
it's
I
not
don't
a bad
like
dog shot. Yeah.
Yeah, the one thing I don't like about Battle is that he does not take his head off the center line. He gets caught down the middle quite frequently. He's got a really good chin, so that has not gotten him into any trouble. But if there's one thing that Randy Brown does very well, it's straight punches, 1-2 down the middle. So I think Randy could catch him with something big, and if he does, that's going to be kind of his path. But at the same time, if he does catch him down the middle and doesn't put him away, Battle is tenacious and he just doesn't stop. He keeps coming forward, and I could see Battle kind of taking over late. But I'm going to take the shot. I'm going to take the dog shot here. I just think the price is way off. I do think Randy Brown has a path to victory. And, honestly, I think this could be a 3-round fight. And you just never know in these 3-rounders where the judges are going to be at. So I think there's some good value there. I definitely see the risk. Brian Battle, maybe he is just really good, and he shows that, and he just moves on and keeps going. But for now, I'll take the shot on Brown, and we'll see what we get.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind it, but I like the other side.
All right, our next fight is in the featherweight division. We've got Movsar Evloev taking on Aljamain Sterling. Aljamain is making his second to be his second fight at featherweight. He looked good in his debut, but he didn't really do much. He basically held Calvin Kattar down for 3 rounds. And I don't know. It just seemed like Calvin Kattar had no answers for the wrestling. Evloev, obviously, very strong wrestler. My dog's going crazy upstairs. Evloev has better takedown accuracy. He's got better takedown defense. He's been fighting at featherweight for a while. But Aljo at 145 looks big. So, it's an interesting one for sure. What are your thoughts on this one?
Man, is your dog barking for Aljo or what? Huh?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. This is an interesting one. Evloev is kind of a guy. I mean, he always. He looks dominant in all of his fights, but I mean, he's going to want to get this to the ground and grapple. But that's kind of where Aljo wants. Aljo's a great grappler. Evloev, 2 great grapplers here going at it. And sometimes they cancel each other out and they end up trading on the feet. And I don't know. Evloev, he wins pretty easily in all of his fights, but I'm not like. Every single fight, he always has that one moment where it's like, could he get out of get got? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in the Lopez fight. He almost got subbed there. Arnold Allen. If that rule is like where you can't have your hand on the ground, if that rule doesn't exist, which it doesn't anymore, then Allen probably puts him out.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I don't know. Is Aljo striking good enough to be able to kind of stuff takedowns and keep it, I don't know. Aljo, this is kind of a tough one for me. This is another one where I like Evloev to probably win the fight, but I don't like the number on it. So, I don't know. Maybe an Evloev battle parlay or something is what I'll be looking at. I think Evloev's going to be able to grapple here, probably get him down. I don't know. Even if it's on the feet, I think he can win a striking battle on the feet. Probably just like a low volume, decision. Yeah, but I don't know if Aljo can get his grappling going and get and he's a big he's a big guy, so maybe he's just powerful enough to get those takedowns and maybe latch on a triangle and get his back for a round. He's good at it. He's got good back takes. And once he locks that triangle in, I don't know if Evloev's going to be able to get out of that. I think it's Evloev probably, but probably Evloev decision, but it's probably going to be juice too. So
right.
Probably parlay piece Evloev for me, but I think he probably wins.
Yeah, I'm in the same
Aljo
boat
too. Aljo's got other things going on too. He's got his Funk Harbor liquor going. He's dropping rap songs. So it's like, is this guy? He thinks the UFC's putting him on the prelims because he's trying to say he's a pay-per-view fighter. They got him here on the prelims.
Yeah,
they obviously put this on the prelims because they think it's going to be some kind of like grappling match, and they don't want that, I guess, on the pay-per-view. But there's already a fucking guy that shouldn't be on the pay-per-view. Talk about him later, but. So it's Evloev for me.
After his last fight, it's tough to really, his last fight was pretty boring. I know it was dominant, but
that was terrible. Yeah, that Calvin Kattar fight was bad. It was
Now
just like
this
he was
fight, I
just
mean,
in there.
if they do grapple, if they're actually competing in the grappling, it can be very fun to watch because both guys are going to be
Oh yeah,
scrambling, and it's not going to be a boring grappling affair.
yeah,
But really, when it boils down to Evloev, he always seems to give away around, and it gets interesting at times with him. But one thing he does do that I would say is much better than Aljo is he actually puts a lot of damage on his opponents. He put a lot of damage on Arnold Allen. He was putting good damage on Diego Lopez, and I know that was Lopez's debut, and it was short notice, but Lopez came in and he was ready to go in that fight. So I mean, it's still impressive. Um, so I think he could put some damage on Aljo here. We've seen Aljo get knocked out a couple times in the past. Definitely competitive. Third round, I would say Aljo's cardio is probably a little bit better. That might play a factor, but I don't know. I think Evloev puts a little bit too much damage on him, kind of takes a little bit out of him. He's not used to Aljo's not used to guys being able to deal with the wrestling. So that could weigh on the cardio as well. So yeah, I like Evloev here. I think he looks good in this one. All right, our next fight is in the welterweight division. We've got another guy who, might be on his way out of town here. Vicente Luque taking on Temba Gorimbo. Luque at one point was one of those all-action fighters, tough to put away. Brought the heat every fight, dangerous everywhere. Has not looked great lately. Looked like he kind of quit in his last fight, which is not a good look at all. He's taking on Temba Gorimbo, who for the most part just wants to grapple. His striking is decent, but it's not anything special. So could be an interesting matchup here in the grappling department if Luque's got anything left. I don't tend to think so, but what are your thoughts here?
yeah. This is kind of a sad story. I mean, Luque. I mean, ever since that Jeff Neal fight where he had that brain bleed, I mean,
Yeah,
he hasn't looked the greatest. I mean, in the RDA fight, he looked kind of like a shell of himself. He didn't even look like himself. He did win the fight, but he pretty
yeah,
much didn't want to strike and just wanted to grapple and pretty much grappled RDA pretty easily. Won that fight, and then he came back against Buckley and just got like, I mean, like you said, it looked like he just quit. I mean, he got hit. Looked like he didn't want to be in there. It's like one time getting hit good, and he was ready. He was ready to go. So you
yeah,
wonder where his confidence is at, where like his willingness to be in there is like, is he afraid to get hit? Is he, could he quit again if he takes a big shot? Like it's concerning, because I'm a Luque fan. He was all like you said, all action, just go to war and just brawl it out.
yeah,
Well rounded, good everywhere. But at this point in his career, I really don't know what to make of it. You know what I mean? It's
yeah,
probably before the Buckley fight, you would think Luque would probably be a sizable favorite here against Simba. For the Buckley fight. But he
yeah,
just looked so bad. Looked so bad. And Thimba's, I mean, he's a strong guy, usually good cardio, good grappling. I mean, his striking, I mean, he's kind of been making some improvements in that department. But he's not the greatest striker. He's going to want to grapple here. And this is tough. I can't back Vicente Luque at this stage in his career. He looks like a broken fighter. So, yeah, it's Thimba for me. And yeah, unfortunately, Thimba. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I really feel like that's kind of. I mean, Demba is good. He's big. He's strong. He's got good grappling. But yeah, it does feel like Luque's a broken fighter, and that's kind of we see it time and time again. Those guys that go through wars, we're seeing it with Tony Ferguson. They can fight through everything until they can't. At some point, they just can't fight through anything anymore. And it's when you're young and you're getting hit, it's not a big deal. But as you get older, it's kind of sucks getting hit, and he's had the brain injury. He's taken a lot of damage, and at this point, if he doesn't want to get hit, I don't blame him. It's tough, but he's fighting in the UFC, so it's not great. But yeah, I think Temba gets the job done. I just think he's bigger and stronger, and I just don't think Luque's got really much left. So unfortunately, that's just what it is.
Sad story.
Yeah. All right. Our next fight, speaking of sad stories, in the light heavyweight division, we've got Dominic Reyes, who bounced back after a rough 3.5, 4 years, taking on Anthony Smith, who he's had a rough run as himself. He finds a submission victory from time to time, but for the most part, he's another guy that looks like he doesn't really want to get hit anymore and just doesn't seem to have the fight that he used to have. We all thought Dominic Reyes was cooked. We all thought he couldn't take a punch. He took some decent punches in that last fight. He got it was a quick victory, but he did eat a couple shots there, and got the KO. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, it's kind of two guys that we thought were washed, Well, I think one is definitely completely washed, Anthony Smith. I really question his durability. I mean, he's looked terrible in fights. I mean, he just doesn't look like he has it. He looks old. He looks slow, just taking a lot of damage. I mean, he has, I don't know how many fights. I mean, the exact number, it's what something crazy, like 60 or something.
Yeah, he's up. Yeah, he's up there.
Yeah, this guy just took in a lot of damage throughout his career, Anthony Smith. So it's like, you can't really back him, but Dominic Reyes minus 300, a guy we were ready to throw out after. I mean, yeah, great performance against Jacoby, but like before that, like the guy was getting knocked out with one solid punch. I mean, Yuri put him on, but he was fighting the competition he was fighting. It seemed like after the John Jones fight, he just seemed like all like his will and determination just got snatched from him. And then he was just going out there and getting sparked, but hats off to him. Jacoby fight, he comes back, able to get a pretty crazy first round knockout. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting Jacoby to knock him out, but he got that done. But yeah, he's a big favorite here, and it's like minus 350.
It's tough.
It's tough to get there, like.
Yeah.
But I think he probably wins because I just think Anthony Smith is just completely cooked.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, it's probably Dom Reyes by knockout. I could see him putting him away if he's back.
Right.
I could see him putting him away, but we don't know. Yeah, one good performance, and I give you credit for that, but can I be all the way bought in again? Probably not yet. You got to probably have to prove it to me a little more, but I just think Anthony Smith is just cooked. He's done.
Yeah, I think Anthony Smith is an ideal opponent for him. It's still like, somewhat of a challenge if Anthony Smith shows up, but still not a guy that you have to fear. He just hasn't looked great. So, I think he can easily get himself on a nice little run. And honestly, I think he's still got the athleticism. He's more explosive. Obviously, we saw it in the last fight. He was explosive in that fight. Yeah, and Anthony Smith, once he gets hit, he just doesn't really want any part of the fight. We saw the Johnny Walker fight when he was talking to Johnny Walker in the cage and saying all kinds of weird things about his family, and it was just like, dude, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
So if he can't take you down and submit you, he's kind of a fish out of water at this point, I think. So I think Reyes probably rolls right through him, but it's one of those things we've got to see it. But yeah, I think Reyes kind of just rolls through him, takes over, and just probably ends up looking like a minus 300 favorite. But yeah, it's tough to really back at this point. But again, like I said, good opponent for him. So I think he gets it done and probably I would think he probably finds a finish.
Yeah, probably.
All right. Our next fight is in the featherweight division. Another great one. This might be my favorite fight on the card, honestly. Nate the Train taking on Duho Choi. We all know Nate. He's going to come forward. He's going to put on a show. He's been rocked. He's been dropped, but he never stops. Unless you put him out. And Duho Choi, honestly, man, I thought he was cooked too after he had that war a few years back. He did some military service. He had a losing streak, but he's come back and he's looked really good. He's looked like the guy that we kind of thought he was before he went on that little losing streak. So this is a very, very interesting fight to me. I think both guys can be clipped. I think both guys have the power to put each other away. And I think this is just going to be a hell of a fight. I'm looking forward to this one. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, Nate the Train, baby. Yeah, this is a banger. Like, I like both of these guys. I mean, Nate Landwehr, just kind of those all action guys, come forward, just maniac, durable, pretty durable. But I mean, he has been got the chin. He can't be cracked on the chin. He's just a junkyard dog. He just keeps coming forward and throwing and getting hit. And then Duo Choi, another warrior too. He's a Hall of Famer. His fights in the Hall of Fame. That legendary war he had.
Yeah.
So it's like this is, I mean, in the Bill Algeo fight, I thought he was completely done like you, but I mean, the Bill Algeo fight, he looked good. I mean, grappling was on point. I mean, the striking looked crisp. I mean, he took a couple shots and was able to throw more back with power. Yeah, these two guys it just speaks all action here, violence. These guys are going to go to war. They're going to stand on the pocket. They're going to trade, and it's whoever lands that shot and is able to put the other guy away, I think is going to win. I like violence here. On the side, right now, I'm leaning Nate Train here to get it done, but I still got to think on it more. I'm not sure where I'm at. Yeah, I'm leaning Nate and just hit him with just be able to stand there and hit him a little cleaner shots. But yeah, should be a fun fight. I'm looking forward to this one, opening up the pay-per-view. Yeah, this is a banger.
Yeah. Great fight. We're going to be on opposite ends here. I'm going to take the shot on Choi. But yeah, like you said, I mean, both guys have the power. Both guys could get caught at some point. We know Nate can take a good shot, keep coming forward. We kind of seen the same thing with Choi. I mean, they both kind of have the same style. I think technically, I would say Choi's a little bit better, but yeah, I think it's a very close fight, toss up, and like I said, great fight, war. Looking forward to it, and I'm gonna roll with Choi on this one.
Taking the dog.
Brings us, huh? Yeah, I think so. That brings us to our next fight, and I think this is probably the fighter you were referring to earlier. We've got a featherweight, or not a feather. Is it featherweight? Yeah. Featherweight matchup between Bryce Mitchell and Kron Gracie. I don't know how to get that off the screen. Mitchell, big favorite here. Gracie looked really bad in his last fight. He had no interest in striking, which was kind of weird because the previous fight he actually looked pretty good on the feet. So I was not expecting that performance. Big Bryce Mitchell guy. He's been finished in 2 of his last 3, but Josh Emmett and Ilia Topuria, 2 guys that can crack, and obviously Topuria is at the top of the division right now. So, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I don't even know why this fight is on the main card. Kron Gracie, does he even want to be there anymore? I mean, his last fight didn't look like he wanted to fight. He just wanted to scoot on his butt and try to fucking, it was terrible performance. He looked terrible. Yeah. Guy hasn't won a fight in forever. It's like, what is he doing on the main card? I don't get why this fight is on the main card. Like, at least
I think I might know why, honestly.
Well,
because
for Bryce Mitchell they want Bryce Mitchell to get a highlight finish.
Well,
Or,
I think
but
that
Chrome,
they don't want his promo on free TV because he always cuts
oh
away
yeah,
from people, so you don't
he
know what he's
could,
gonna
yeah,
say.
yeah,
So put him
yeah.
behind the
I
paywall.
mean, it's weird because Crone is, where he's gonna want it is on the ground.
Yeah,
That's kind of what Mitchell wants too. Mitchell,
right.
these guys, two black belts here. Mitchell's gonna want to wrestle, but I even think like Mitchell could just piece him up on the feet and not even go to the ground. I think Mitchell's striking is good enough.
Really good.
It is worrisome. He is coming off that. He got sent to Pluto by Josh Emmett. That was a scary one.
Yeah.
But he did take some time off. He took I think it's been about a year almost. He took off. So yeah, it's Bryce Mitchell all day, but it's like, how are you going to bet him? I think he probably can finish him, most likely. Probably. I don't know if he could submit him. I think maybe a knockout number. That would be interesting to me. It's
his
I don't
his
see him.
inside the distance was plus money. I saw.
Yeah, it's like plus 260 or something like that. So that's not bad. I don't mind that. But I can see Chrome Gracie butt scooting for 15 minutes and doing absolutely nothing. So I don't know. Yeah. So, I don't
but
know.
at the
It's
same
Mitchell,
time, man, Bryce is a strong wrestler, and his jiu-jitsu is very good. So, I think he's got. I think it was him. I think he's got more submission wins than Kron has fights. So it's not like I could see him being willing to go to the ground and fight on the ground. Obviously, that can be dangerous, but I think the strength of his wrestling and his top control, a lot of times that's a very good way to negate jiu-jitsu. So I don't think Bryce is going to be afraid to go down there, but if it can be risky, but I think Bryce can get down, land some ground and pound. I think he could get him out of there. I definitely think he could stop him. Especially if Kron comes out and looks like he doesn't want to fight like he did in the last fight. If Bryce just starts to hit, and it's so. Yeah, I like Mitchell. I'll take that shot inside the distance, but tough to bet it either way.
Yeah, it's Mitchell inside the distance. I think the decision's juice too, isn't it? Let me check real quick. Yeah, it's minus 185. So
which it's not. If you wanted to throw that into like a parlay or something like that, it's not terrible. I could easily see it going 3 rounds, but it's not great.
Yeah. No, it's my concern is that Gracie's just doing nothing, just staying safe. You know?
Absolutely. But we'll see. We'll find out pretty quick when they get going. All right, our next fight is in the heavyweight division. These two have fought before in I believe it was a main event.
5-round main event.
Yeah, Cyril Gane taking on Alexander Volkov. Volkov looked like $1 million in his last fight. Gane actually had a nice win too, coming off that embarrassing loss to John Jones. It was a pretty, it was almost like a sparring affair the last time these two fought. Very slow start to the fight. Volkov being a pretty hefty favorite or underdog here, I think Volkov is live in this one for sure. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. They had the 5-round fight, which was the main event, which was pretty boring. Gane pretty much swept every round on the scorecards, which I didn't really agree with. I thought Volkov did well in rounds 1 and rounds 2 and could have won those 2 rounds. But when I had judges read 50-45, I was like, oh, okay. And he seemed to fade in that fight in the later rounds, in rounds 3, 4, and 5. I don't know. Volkov's looked really good in his last few fights. He's looked looked great, and Cyril Gahn coming off the embarrassing loss to John Jones does what he does against Spivak.
Right.
Took care of business there. Yeah, this is going to probably be another boring kickboxing like affair. I could
Yeah.
see it being close. I don't know. This is another one where I think the line is just a little too wide. But do I want to bet Volkov? I think Cyril Gahn is definitely probably the better striker and the better fighter.
Yeah. I mean, when you
So
break
I
down
mean,
Cyril Gahn's career, he's lost 2 times. He lost to Francis and he's lost to John Jones. So,
John Jones.
you
Yeah.
know,
So I mean, he has took a year off almost. It was like maybe 8 months or something like that. Was doing movies and TV shows and stuff like that. So it's like, but I think he'll be locked in here. I mean, I think I could see it being close. Like I don't mind the Volkov plus 3.5. I don't mind that. I can definitely see Volkov winning the round. But ultimately, I think Gahn gets his hands raised, probably by decision here.
yeah, I kind of feel that I feel the same as you do. I think Volkov's live just because I do think it could be a 3-round kickboxing affair. And Volkov has looked really good, and you never know with the judging. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I want to play this one. I'd say right now I'll lean Volkov, just get the dog price, but I don't know. I don't know if I can pull the trigger because Gahn
Yeah,
is
I'm
just
gonna.
he's just good, man. He's really good. He's lost 2 fights, and both fights were championship fights, so it's tough to fade him.
Yeah, I like that Gahn by decision. That's probably where I'm gonna be at here. Most likely, yeah, it's like minus 140. So
Yeah, that's a great way to bet him for sure.
yeah, I'm gonna be on that for sure.
All right, our next fight, a really interesting one here. Got 2 undefeated welterweights. We've got Shavkat Rakhmonov taking on Ian Machado Gary. Rakhmonov 18-0, Gary 15-0. Not too many people want to fight Shavkat, and Gary, stepped up to the plate. People don't like Gary. He talks a lot, but if you're going to talk a lot, you got to back it up. And to this point, he's willing to take on anybody, and you got to give him credit for that because this is not an easy fight for anybody. And this one's interesting to me. I'm very curious what your thoughts are here.
Yeah, this is a crazy fight, interesting fight. I mean, Shavkat 18-0, 18 finishes, looks pretty much almost unbeatable. I mean, looked really good. I mean, the guy's. I mean, I think he's probably the next champ. Bilal got hurt. In comes Ian Gary. Gary kind of, earlier on in his UFC career, he was putting away the lower level guys, but then now recently he's kind of fighting with some more IQ, mixing in some grappling, kind of fighting more smarter, not leaving himself open. I know we thought here a lot earlier that like eventually his chin he would get caught, but I mean he's made improvements. He's looked good. These 2 guys, they were training partners. They've sparred a bunch of rounds together. They're pretty familiar with each other here. Ian Gary was at Kill Cliff for like 6 fights. So these guys are pretty familiar with each other. Shavkat said he tapped him out in sparring, and I guess Gary's got the footage, but didn't drop it. And I don't know. This is an interesting fight. The question is, do you see Shavkat finishing him? I don't know. I could see this kind of being like a 5-round kind of sparring
Yeah.
kickboxing kind of match. You know what I mean? Ian Gary has shown like his IQ is pretty good, and he kind of fights smart and tries to stays out of danger. Kind of like in the MVP fight, he kind of just went
Yeah.
to what he needed to do to win the fight. This is a tough one. This is another one where I think Shavkat should be probably favored, and maybe he can get him out. I'm leaning probably maybe a Shavkat like 4-5 decision. Maybe if he gets him out, he probably gets him out later on in the fight.
Yeah.
But this is another one where I think Gary can make this interesting if he fights a smart game. But I mean, I just think Shavkat's a killer and probably gets him like 4-5 decision. That's probably what I'll be betting. I think it gets deeper into the fight. The pick is going to be Shavkat to win, but the line's kind of wide. Probably Shavkat money line in a parlay, but yeah, I like Shavkat. But
Yeah.
I think the number's wide, and I think Gary can make it competitive.
Yeah, I definitely think that the fight is much, much more competitive than the line would show. Gary's good, man. And like you said, the fight IQ is there. And it's always interesting when you have guys that train together. And, you think if Shavkat really got the best of Gary, would have been easy for Gary to not take this fight. So obviously he's got some kind of confidence after training with the guy. Unless he just thinks, no matter what happens, this is a kind of a win-win for him. But
he already had a fight booked against Buckley, so he didn't have to step in and do this. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, he could have easily just avoided this fight altogether. So the fact that he's willing to do it, it's like, all right. I mean, he's got to have some kind of confidence going into it.
I mean, he probably won rounds. Shavkat probably won rounds. I mean,
right.
So it's like, you don't know. Like, who knows? Maybe Gary just has his number. You don't know. Like,
yeah, you don't. You don't know.
It's interesting. It's interesting. It's an interesting fight.
So yeah, I mean, I feel like it's kind of hard to fade Shavkat. I do think when it all breaks down, I think he gets the job done. But yeah, I mean, I definitely think it's a good fight, and I think this probably goes the distance. I think this will be the first time Shavkat sees the scorecards, but anything's possible. Obviously, we have seen Gary get clipped a couple times in the past, so that's possible. But yeah, I think it's a very close fight, and I think Shavkat probably edges it out in a decision. I just think no matter where the fight goes, he has the ability to win, whether it's on the ground or standing up. I think, but I could be wrong.
Shavkat 4-5 decision is plus 165.
Yeah, that's worth it all day. So yeah, I mean, we think we both kind of agree it's a competitive fight. Gonna roll with Shavkat, but yeah, I mean, definitely think it's gonna be long. So bet the overs. All right, that brings us to our main event. We have a rare occurrence where a debuting fighter comes in and fights for the belt. We've got Alexandre Pantoja taking on Kai Asakura, who's making his UFC debut. He has been a champion for a long time in Japan. Very good fighter, very good striker, good power, good size. The last couple fights that he's fought have been at bantamweight, so kind of interesting to see how the weight cut looks for him going back to flyweight. But yeah, I think this is a great fight. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, all of his fights have been at 135 pretty much except for one. So that's, I mean, Kai Asakura, Ryzen, I went back and rewatched all of his fights. I mean, the guy's a warrior, good boxing, fast in the pocket. He's going to stand there and pretty much trade with you and try to go to war with you, he leaves himself to be hit. I see him very hittable in the pocket, leaves a lot of openings. His takedown defense isn't really the best, but he's got good scrambles and he's able to get back up to his feet. Yeah, I mean, the kid is a good, well-rounded fighter. I mean, I'm excited to see him make his debut. I watched a lot of his Ryzen fights. I mean, that Archuleta fight, he starched him. Horiguchi, he put him out in like the first round. Manel Kape did catch him and put him away. That was a fight that was kind of concerning because Manel Kape, I mean, he's not really at Pantoja's level, and he was able to pretty much starch him in the second fight. And then the first fight, I thought he lost to a decision. I thought Kape clearly won that, but he won a split. Clearly, probably the hometown rub. But this Asakura kid, he's going to be really good. I really like him. But Pantoja, just that proven guy, the guy that's been there, the savage, the warrior. I mean, durable guy, great grappling, decent striking. I'd pretty much see Pantoja if he could stay safe early. I mean, I definitely think Asakura in round 1 is going to be very dangerous early in the fight. So I think Pantoja would probably have to try to weather the storm early. But I see Pantoja being able to take him down and get his back pretty easily. I see Pantoja having a pretty easy time here in the grappling department. And another thing too, we got to see weigh-ins. What this guy is going to look at weigh-ins. It's a big cut for him. He hasn't fought down at this weight. So it's an interesting fight. Asakura he could catch Pantoja and put him away. He's got the power in his hands. He's fast. He could do that. But I just think there's levels to it. And I think Pantoja is just a little notch ahead of him right now. I think in the future, Asakura could be great, but right now, and two, he's fighting in the octagon. He usually fights in the ring, which is also going to be an adjustment. Pantoja is going to be able to push him up on the cage, and how is he going to be able to handle that? So, it's going to be Pantoja for me. Probably gets him out later in the fight, but
I'm with you. I think just he gets his grappling going. There's definitely advantage there. Obviously, Asakura is a big dude, so if he is getting back to his feet, can make it troublesome for Pantoja. But I always tried to fade early on in Pantoja's career. I tried to fade him because I thought he was going to gas out in every fight. He looks tired. But clearly that's not a problem. He fights 5 rounds. He looks tired, and he still lands takedowns, and he does his thing. So just kind of the way he looks. So I expect kind of the same here. Asakura obviously is extremely dangerous early, but Pantoja, durable guy. He's well-rounded, and he knows how to win these fights. And it's tough making a debut in the UFC at all. And to jump into a title fight, just a lot of different factors going into the fight. I just think Pantoja has kind of been there, done that, and I think he gets it done for sure.
Yeah, I like the Pantoja by sub or decision. That's probably what I'll be on.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I like that as well. All right, so that's it. As always, we have a busy weekend. We've got college football. We've got NHL, NBA, UFC, NFL. So we've got a lot going on. Sign up nukethehouse.com. Nuke the Holidays is the promo code. You get a free week. I've said it a million times. You're not going to find a better value in the world of sports betting. So give it a shot if you're not already on board. And let's win some money together. You got anything else for us, Johnny?
No, good luck with your bets. Excited for the last pay-per-view of the year. And let's go. Let's make some money.
Do it. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. As always, good luck this weekend. Let's cash some tickets.